Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Wright, and you are watching Divine Shine, Mediumship, and Tarot. Thank you for joining my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about my experience through Reiki and mediumship and give you some specific examples of different reads that I've done or different experiences that I've had. Today, specifically, I'm going to give you my goal is to give you 4 examples of accuracy. So, first of all, I just want to explain and I talked about this in my last video, but the way that I receive is through feelings. So I can feel other people's feelings, internal sight, internal hearing. So I don't see or hear anything in the physical world. It's all up here. And also by just a sense of knowing. So yeah, those are the ways I receive, and also by feelings or like by perception of physical senses. So for example, if I feel cold, that I interpret that to mean this person had a cold personality, or they lived in a cold environment, or they like to eat ice cream. It depends. Any type of sensation physically, I can interpret that to mean something else as well. In my last episode, I finished with two examples of, I was still early in my Reiki journey. My medium, I still wasn't calling myself a medium yet, but I had 2 experiences that I knew confirmed for me, really, confirmed for me that I knew that I was communicating with people or with energies that have passed on, loved ones from the other side. And so yeah, I didn't know anything about didn't know about this gift, like how to use it, where it was coming from, I was still early in the stages, so I'm kind of testing it out and trying to figure out, why is this happening? What's important? What's the message? I knew there had to be some type of message, right? And so I had received so far by feeling, by hearing and by hearing the most. The other gifts, well, I call them gifts, I would come to learn a little bit later. But the next one is kind of cool, and I want to highlight this example because it shows the process. Okay, so I was getting ready to go over to my friend's house, my girlfriend's house, and her brother was there. Okay, and they're from Mexico, right? And so that's just a side note, but that'll be relevant to the conversation here in a minute. So I was getting ready to go over to her house, and we were just gonna like hang out and like watch a movie or something. Like we weren't gonna do cards or anything, and but I did bring my cards that night. Anyways, so I blow drying my hair. Sorry, you guys are boring me. So I'm blow drying my hair, and it's like a monotonous thing that you do 100,000 times since you were 9 years old. So your mind starts to wander, and you may not really be paying attention to the thoughts that they're wandering to. And then all of a sudden you catch your thoughts and you're like, wait, what the fuck was I just thinking? Like, that was a crazy thought. Okay. So I had this pretty vivid, like, it was almost like in between a dream state. So I'm awake, right? I'm conscious. I'm doing something, but I'm having these thoughts, and it's just kind of in the background because I'm not really engaging with anything right now except for doing my hair, right? So I have this whole scene play out in my head, and then I was like, what? Why would you make that up? That's so crazy. I'm going to tell you what it is, but it's a cooler story if I tell you at the end when I tell the person and to see their reaction. So Anyway, so I forget about it. I'm like, okay, you're crazy, Katie. So that's how I know that I actually received something. And then I go over to her house. So I go over to her house. We watch a movie. We're about to leave, and her brother comes downstairs. He's like, oh, she told me that you do cards. I was like, I do. I actually have them with me. Do you want me to do cards for you? And he's like, sure. So I read his cards. It's like no big deal. And then I was going to leave, and I'm putting on my jacket, and I was like, wait, oh, I think I have a message for you. And he's like, for what? Because I don't know him very well, right? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, did you used to have a stuttering problem? And he just turns beet red and starts to tear up. And he's like, how did you know that? And I'm like, oh my God, I saw you. I saw you as a child. You were so cute. You're so little. I think you may have been in Mexico, or I was trying to figure out so it was a classroom setting, and I was trying to figure out in my head if he was having trouble speaking as English as a second language, or if he was stuttering. But I saw him reading out loud in the class, and he was being what the feeling and what was driven home for the message for me was that he was being very diligent and focused and diligent and focused in order to read this. And so he had to take his time, and he had to go slow. And so I'm telling him, I'm like, oh, I saw you as a child. You were in school, you were reading out loud in front of the class, and I saw you struggling a little bit, but then you regrouped yourself, and you regained your focus, and you just took your time, and you were very, very diligent and very methodical, and you were able to deliver the message. And he's just like blown away, and I am too now, because I'm like, what the fuck, like. So he started getting a little bit more emotional. I'm looking at his sister, and she's like, how did you know that? You're scary. And I was like, oh, and I was like, but you had help. And he's like, no, I didn't have help. And I was like, yeah, I saw there was those two people there. And then I realized that they were there helping, but not in the actual physical world, which was a message that I took away from that. Because I always take away a message from all the reads, but it serves to prove the point that in life, when we face challenges, we are never truly alone. We're always here with help from the divine. And he had that help regardless of whether he was conscious or not to know it. And he said, no, I didn't have help. I did it all on my own. And I was like, whoa, that confused me. And then I put it together. So that was pretty, this is new in my journey, right? This is like the third big thing that happens. And so, it was pretty like shocking, right? So a few things about that. So I believe that we're all on different levels, and I'm not saying that I'm more advanced than anyone else. I'm on a different level than most people. Not that it's a good level or a bad level, it's just different. So we're all on different levels, but I feel like we probably all have the capability of communicating and receiving information like this, and we probably all do it to some certain extent. It's just whether or not we believe it and have the balls to actually speak on it, because the messages I receive are freaking, like, literally, if I tell myself, Katie, you're crazy, I know that that's a message that's actually going to hit home with someone. So I received this message. I couldn't even place the person that it was supposed to be for. And then, but when it happened, I was like, why am I thinking about this Spanish person who's reading out loud to a class while I'm blow drying my hair? Like, that is just insane, And then I didn't know who it was for. Then I went over there, did the cards for the brother, and then all of a sudden it clicked. I was like, oh, that's you, But most normal people would probably be like, maybe a little hesitant to actually come out and share that information because they would look kind of crazy. But I'm a Pisces, so I just roll with it, right? And so so that's how I receive, and that's how I have learned to trust my instincts, and to not be afraid to speak on whatever I feel like I've received, because, and this is what leads me to the more theme of this video, which is it has helped to strengthen my accuracy. So I used to say that I'm 99% accurate and I'm 1% full of shit. But what I realized with time and experience is that I'm actually 100% accurate, or 99% accurate. 1% of the time I'm getting the message wrong. So it could be kind of like a game of charades with the other side, and with how I receive, with how they communicate, and how I'm able to give the message. So, for example, I had a girlfriend who I hadn't seen in a while, maybe in over 2 years, and we decided to go for a hike one day. So I knew that her mom had passed away in the previous year, and so I thought in my head, I was like, I wonder if there's any messages for my friend's name in regards to her mom. And I received a message, forgot about it, go on the hike, and then we're nearing coming home on the hike, and I remember, I was like, oh, I think I got a message for you. I received a message about a cricket. And she's like, a cricket? A cricket? I don't have, there's nothing with a cricket. I was like, okay. I was like, you sure? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So then we just forget about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm crazy. Yeah, I guess I don't have a gift. Guess I'm full of shit, right? And so then later that day, she texts me back. She's like, oh my God, it's a grasshopper. It's a grasshopper. My mom used to always, she had a thing with grasshoppers, and there was some quote, I can't remember the quote right now. Damn it. Friend, you're going to have to message me and tell me so that I can post it on my page what the quote was. But anyways, she said that her mom would always bring this quote up, and that was a thing that she shared with her mom. And she said as soon when she got into her car that afternoon or later that day, there was a katydid, which is a grasshopper, right? A form of a grasshopper, on her windshield. And so I got the chills. So anyways, that's an example of how the message, the meaning, intention behind the message was there. I was just calling it the wrong thing. So it was actually accurate. It was just the verbiage. It was just the, what is the word? I forget. Just the verbiage that's what was not correct, right? So I have 2 more stories, if I haven't gone over. Okay, good. Well, 13 minutes. Good. Whoosh. Yes. Okay, so this is a tough story because it actually was the first reading that I did that I didn't want to do, but it involved my friend who passed away. And it was just really unfortunate. It's always unfortunate. But the way in which I found out was shocking, which it's going to be shocking to anyone at any time. But anyways, I was at the gym and I was on the bike, and this young man comes in and he's like trying to talk to me, and I was like, oh God, like, dude, I'm just trying to get my workout on, So I'm like, yeah. And he's like, hey, do you know a guy named Jason? I was like, the trainer? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, you fit the description of girl that he used to talk about. And Jason was a friend of mine. We trained together. Like, we went to a training thing together in Temecula for a company that we worked for together at the time. And he had some battles with addiction that he had overcome, and we shared a lot on that story, on that drive to Temecula. And I actually read him in the car. That's interesting. If I have time, I'll share that at the end. But we didn't really hang out outside of work at all. We lifted together, I think, once or twice, but that was it was just a friendship. Our relationship was a friendship, and it's just a friend that, when you show up at work, you're like, hey, it's nice to see you, and you genuinely mean it. And he was a good dude. Anyways, so this kid, I call him kid because he is compared to me. So he's like, yeah, you fit the description of a girl that he used to talk about. And I was like, okay. And he's like, he died. And I was like, oh. I was just shocked because we didn't work together anymore, but I used to see him at this other gym that we both went to, and I hadn't seen him for a while, and I was wondering where he was. And I was like, thanks for ruining my fucking workout. And I just got off the bike and I started crying, and I was done at that point working out. So his friend was like, hey, I'm about to leave right now. I'll walk out with you if you want. And I was like, yeah, I'd like that. And he's like, I'm gonna run to the locker room and I'll be right back. So I just tried in the gym, in the group X room on the hardwood floor. I was just like, Jason, is there anything like, just waiting for a message. And I kept hearing duck, 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 duck. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay, so I don't know this kid at all, and this was his best friend, right? So I really don't want to get this wrong, and I really don't want to sound like I'm crazy, but I'm going to take that risk because I know when I receive a message, I know how it feels, and I know the pattern now of the repetition that I get. So we walk outside, and I was like, hey, I know this is going to sound really weird, but did you and Jason have a thing with a duck? He's like, a duck? No. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I'm sorry. I don't understand. I was like, all right, well, just keep it in the back of your mind. Something may pop up, and if it does, let me know. He's like, all right. And so I was like, thank you for telling me. It was nice to meet you. And we said our goodbyes. I'm walking to my car, and then I hear, Katie. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God, it wasn't a duck. Oh, so sorry. I'm like, yeah, if it wasn't a duck, it was definitely like a beaked animal, a bird with feathers. It was some type of bird with feathers. And he's like, no. So anyways, I'm walking to my car, and I hear this, Katie. And he's like, it was a hawk. I was like, what? He's like, they used to train together. Jason was a trainer, and he was the mentor of the relationship between him and his friend, because he's older and more well-versed in training. I think his friend was going through a recovery too, and so Jason maybe had preceded him in that, so he's kind of leading him in that too, and a little bit older in age. So he's like, before we would train, he would always say, like, do you want to be a fucking bird or do you want to be a fucking hawk? And like, that was their thing. And that was really cool. No, it wasn't really cool. That was really, really weird, and it sucked. But I know that he's still here, and he's still watching, and he's still kicking ass from the other side. So, so that's another example of accuracy, where I gave a message that wasn't 100% completely accurate. Or actually, it's not true. Where I got the message wrong, but it was still accurate, right? I said duck instead of hawk. It's still a four-letter word that refers to a bird and both ends in a K. So I could have heard it wrong, like duck, hawk, 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 hawk. I did definitely get the message of the message of a winged, feathered, beaked animal. Okay. So the next one, is, I'm going to save for another time. Next one I'm going to save for another time because I think it goes along with physicality or actual, I don't know what it's called when, so I do mediumship, right? But when you actually either take on characteristics or mannerisms of the person that you're reading for, and although it does fit in with accuracy, I think it's going to be better left for the next video, so you're going to have to wait, okay? So anyway, I didn't wear a hair bow today, oh my god, but I'm selling custom made hair bows, so check out my description box if you want to check those out. They're so cute. There's a link to my new IG page, and I gotta upload some pictures so you can actually watch it. But other than that, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. I hope to reach out and connect and do some readings. And if spirit wants that, if they see value in it, then I know that you will find me. And I will be ready when you do. Thanks. Oh no.